Hey, how's it going, my deadly mercenary family? Cosmic Mercenary bringing you a new video, and today we're going to be continuing playing Winter's Daydream. And last time we left off, we had an incestual relationship with my sister Otaku or something like that. The cat attacked me. It was the 28th day. I just came home. A lot of things happened. My dad's on mine, and let's just get to it. Okay? Let's just get to it. Oops. Breakfast the next morning. An awkward affair. Toko is sitting opposite of me at the table, barely giving me a second glance. Her entire attention is directed at her miso soup with laser-like intensity. You should have precision, not intensity. Is she really that upset I didn't agree to buy her a spaghetti? It's like I just wanted to try it out in front of you. Oh, you-chan. Why should I anyways? Knowing Otaku says it as scanty strips of fabric tied together with a flimsy string that she covers with cost more than a meal capable of feeding a whole family in Africa. Besides, I have no real desire to loiter around women's swimsuit section in any clothes and store, and especially not for the sake of my sister. Like I said last time, it was like, hey, hi sir, you're here for your girlfriend? No, I'm here for my sister. You got any of those on sale? I know Taco wouldn't appreciate it, and I didn't go to Tokyo to buy my family gifts. I'm not a tourist. I live there now. It's my home. But this town used to be my home not so very long ago. Things really have changed during the last 8 months. Though Otako is trying to hear her hardest to avoid me, there's something softly nostalgic about this scene. In fact, it's nostalgic precisely because she's avoiding me. I suppose Otako's full temper is too just a part of daily life. My old life. We used to get on well enough that when we were younger, but we haven't for a few years now. We used to get on well. Get along? Is that what you're saying? You used to get along. Get on? Don't do that. No. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever done anything egregiously terrible to her, other than call her the wrong name from time to time. Make that most of the time. And self-monologue about how you hate her and how she's as ugly as a witch or something like that. You know, but just that for this about it. Still pondering, I fish a cube of tofu out of my miso soup and pop it between my teeth. Like, is this really that necessary that we need to know that I'm freaking popping freaking tofu like candy? Like, I'm pretty sure we don't need to know. Where the hot chicks at besides my sister? I don't even want to. Let's just continue. Imbued with the dashi stalks and has a deeper, rich flavor than any tofu I've tasted before. Mom watches me expectantly, a small smile on her face. How is it, dear? Really great. I return her smile with one of my own. Have you gotten better at cooking? You've gotten better at cooking. Oh, stop. You're just trying to flatter me. Well, maybe. I don't know, I'm trying to get with you now, Mom. God. If you get up, you'll get seconds if you don't. That was the general idea, yes. Ha! When did you become such a smooth talker, you? Being in the big city must have taught you a thing or two about flattering the ladies. Oh, please, I'm no lady. I'm old enough to be his mother. Ha! That's a good one. Gross. Get to her room, you two. That's the most I've heard out of Taco during the past 20 minutes. I swear being with her is like trying to squeeze blood from a stone. But at least stones can't pull faces and call you gross. Not even the stones of the mythical land of Tokyo. You're trying to tell me there's like freaking buildings and stuff, and they're like, no, there's stones there now. I pass one every day. There's a giant stone right there. So, do you want another helping of miso soup, honey? Yes, please. I hold out my bowl and my mom takes it, bustling off the counter to fetch my top up. What about the rice? Do you have enough? Well, I guess a little more can help, Mother. That's right, you're still a growing girl. Don't say that. You need to eat, keep your energy up, especially now that you're back home. Sometimes I worry about you in the city, I don't know if you're eating enough or eating the right things. I think he's been eating more than enough, Mom. I mean, look at him. What do you mean? Or not. Sorry, I forgot the accent. Isn't it obvious? You're going to end up like Dad if you're not careful. Well, it's about time you start taking after me. I always thought he was too skinny. Ha ha ha! Oh, don't you worry. He's looking more and more like you by the day. Stop being baka. Stop being baka. Cut it out. I glare at my little sister bitterly. When she was being silent, part of me wished she would say something, but now she opened her mouth and I want nothing more for her to keep it shut. There are a handful of things in this world that should never be open no matter what. First is the sealed off entrance in Sun Mai's tomb. And Sun Mai's? Who's that? Izanami's tomb. The second are the tombs of my grandmother's. What? Natto sauce? Oh, tubs. I read that as tombs. I'm like, whoa there, buddy. Nobody wants to bring out your grandma. Right? The third is a taco's mouth. Mom hands me a bowl of miso soup now filled up to the brim, exchanges for a half-finished bowl of brown rice. She goes to the rice cooker, ambling good-naturedly. She hums while she scoops and more rice into the bowl, and then she returns to me with a smile. Here you go, sweetie, enjoy. Oh no. Here you go, sweetie, enjoy. Oh, thanks. I tried to sound enthusiastic, but my good mood has begun to wane. I poke out a cube of tofu in my miso soup. It bobs like a rubber duck in the bathtub. I still have rubber duckies, man. Otaka's trying to get at me. I don't want to give her the satisfaction of winning, but now it's impossible for me not to feel self-conscious. Have I really put on weight? I don't think I have. I look any different than I did 8 months ago, but Otaka's forever pouring. You're really gonna get it, girl? You're really gonna get your sister thinking about your weight, dog? Like, seriously, come on, dog. I used to. It's to be expected, really, when there are so many restaurants of fast food and I live next to a McDonald's that opens 24/7. Brought to you by McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm making Japanese fatter. Sacrificing lukewarm chicken scarfing lukewarm chicken nuggets. A man of culture. I see. I too get their chicken nuggets. How do you think it got like this, baby? Oh, you think this is okay? Oh, right there, baby. Chicken nuggets. All chicken nuggets right there. I'll work on an easy do later that day is peak students living. Oh, I thought you said you were hungry. Why are you picking at your food like that? I'm fine. Fine, he says you're going to look like Pikachu. Pikachu reference! Pikachu reference! We got Pikachu. Where Pikachu at? Pikachu. 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 Pikachu reference. Pikachu. Pikachu. Oh. Hey, but Pikachu got on a diet, dog. I don't know what you're talking about, okay? God. Is that such a bad thing? I've always thought Pikachu was pretty cute. Yeah, it's true. Look at this thing. Pika-pee. A pika-pee. Pika-pee. What'd you say to me, you little... I meant Pikachu from the first games with the round chubby belly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're talking about here, Doc. Yeah, dude, I'm a woman of culture, I see. All of a sudden, this kind of... First Pokemon, Gen 1, you say? And guess what? You're looking at a prime example of a Gen 1 over here, baby. Yes, no, relax. Oh! Otoko! Hey! Kicks the leg of the chair beneath the table. That's Otome to... That's Otome to you, you Saiyan monkey! Her kicks up at the table and my practically full soup splashes all over the table onto my lap. As I comfortably hide and I hiss beneath my... Oh no, not the pee-pee! Otoko, be more careful. I think you're the one who needs to be more careful. You... Just look at yourself. Look at you, you're so childish, you need to grow up. I think you've grown up a little too much, dear brother. Oh, not up, but out. Why you... No, you two try to behave. Please, you're not children anymore. That's right, be nicer to your sister, you. That's right, you. Be nicer to your sister. I grit my teeth to I'm being the oldest sibling, I'm always the one who gets in trouble, no matter what Otako does. Welcome to the club, kid. My parents are soft on her. Dad always wanted a daughter. I think so they could let her get away with a lot. It doesn't hurt that she's so pretty. No, stop it! Oh, gross. Oh, it doesn't hurt that she's a brat. There we go. I changed it up. I fixed it up for you guys. Don't worry about it. Pay me later, okay? I want to stamp my feet on the floor and say that it isn't fair, but stamp or stomp. I know doing that really would make me seem like a child. I have to try and bear it, or will I? All of a sudden, I'm hit with a bright idea. You know what? I was thinking about visiting Grandma today. Huh? Why would you do a stupid thing like that? To an outsider, Otako's reaction might seem rude, but I think she was a valid point, for once. Omeko is our paternal grandmother and our only grandparent who's still alive. She lives even further out in the sticks than we do, if you can imagine such a thing. Her house is situated in a village far littler than this town, a good 40 minutes away by train. The train chugs along an old semi-abandoned track that's rusted, overgrown with weeds. There are no buildings for miles around, no streets, no houses, just flat, seemingly endless expanse of field. I think about 300 people call my grandma teeny tiny village home. I'm surprised that it hasn't been bulldozed over to make room for a highway yet, but maybe the planner of the local government don't even know the village exists. It's so out there, the way more birds live through there than people, building their nests in holy roofs of all the abandoned houses. I used to hate our family visits to Grandma Omeko when I was little, but now I'm starting to think that the peace and quiet of the countryside would be good for me. It'll certainly be more peaceful without a Toko around. I'm being serious. I haven't seen Grandma in a while, and if I let this moment slip by, who knows when I'll next get the chance. I don't understand why you'd want to take this chance. We had to get there this summer and it was so boring. I got bitten to death by bugs too. Well, you know how it is. She's getting on in years and I want to see her, just in case. She did. You don't need to worry about my mother. She's a tough old bird, tough as they come. I know, but it really has been a while. Weirdo. Well, I think it's a nice idea. Omeko's always been fond of you, and she's only been to Tokyo a few times in her life. I'm sure she'd love to hear how you've been doing in the university, like back in my day, Tokyo. I don't even know who came in and came out. Then I'll go and call her right now. Yes, you do that. but don't you have an idea when you'd be coming back? I'm not sure yet. It takes a while to get out there, and the train and buses don't run out very often. Maybe they'll all get canceled, and then you'll get... Maybe they'll get canceled, and then you'll get stuck up in the mountains for the months and months. Why does Sataka sound so pleased with her prospect? If that happens, I'll change my mind to name to Haiti and start rearing goats. Otoko snorts and rolls her eyes, but doesn't add any further comment. That is, if a mumble freak under her breath counts as a further comment. Just don't stay with grandmother for too long. We want to spend time with. Oh, don't stay with your grandmother for too long. We want to spend more time with you too. Don't forget, it's almost New Year's. I need to visit the local shrine together as a family. That's what we always do, isn't it, dear? That's right. New Year's would be the same without you. I know my mother's a fun old woman to be around, and she's always dotted on you, but don't let that take up all your time. Don't worry. I'll only be gone a day or 2 days at most. That's what you say, but all your days are precious. You are my only son, and I really have missed you. And I'm Grandma's only grandson. I'm sure she has missed me too. One of the tacos has to, at any rate. While the sister is reclining her chair, chopsticks in her mouth, literally pushing a piece of tofu through one side of her cheek to the other. When she sees me looking, she scrawls and turns her head away. And I thought little sisters were supposed to respect their older brothers. No, they weren't. Why did I have to get stuck with a taco? I phoned my grandmother after breakfast, and she sounds more than happy to accommodate me for a few days. At least somebody is. Luckily, I don't have too much to pack. I was so tired after dinner last night, I didn't have the time to take all my belongings out of my rucksack. I retrieved my bag from my bedroom, then make my way downstairs. Tama is but the entrance hall by our shoes. She sniffs my sneakers curiously, her pink nose twitching. Okay, we don't need to know about the cat, dog. Maybe my scent has disturbed her. Cats are incredibly territorial, and it's been 8 months since I last came back here. Do I smell uncomfortable, unfamiliar to her now? Maybe she thinks I'm a stranger, a hostile invader. Oh well, Thomas never liked me anyways. Shoo, get out of here. Get out of here, cat. Hey, you're cracky. I have a hand of Thomas' direction, and she is scampering off down the hallway. Her tail is stuck up in the air like an aerial, as it so often is. Stupid cat, get out of here, cracky. I take a seat on the stairs and slide my shoes onto my feet. You could act a little nicer to me, you know. After all, I fed you. I don't see why you should. Why she should. You're never nice to her. Hey. Oh. I glance upward, meeting my sister's narrow eyes. It's you. It's the brat. Jeez, and you say Tom has personality problems? You're the one that should be acting nicer, you. And why is that? You should be more appreciative that I came to talk to you before you left. Duh. Yes, I'm overwhelmed with the emotion that a goddess such as yourself need to materialize before a mere mortal like me. Quite literally, too. I didn't hear Otaka's footstep as she approached me. Maybe she really did materialize out of thin air. Maybe she is a goddess. Maybe I should get her bikini. And again, it's more likely Otaka is so skinny that her feet don't make any telltale noises as they touch the floor. Otaka doesn't eat much. She picks her food daintily, like a baby bird, and pushes things around in her bowl and plate, but not very much actually goes into her mouth. Maybe she's trying to get the perfect bikini body. Stop it! Stop it! Stop! No! FBI, no! Otoko might not be the nicest girls, but you can't say she's dedicated, or you can't say she isn't dedicated. Why are you here? Are you going to beg for me not to leave? Will you miss me after all? Ha! As if. I should have known. Ah, Baka time! Baka time! I just came to give you this. It's so you don't starve. Baka! It's not like I like you or anything. Baka! Throw some things in my direction. It's a small lunchbox wrapped up with cuddly in pink and white spotted handkerchief. The handkerchief is tied at the top. Neat ribbon, keeping separate layers back to the enemy moment! It's a very sweet gesture, at least it would be if Otaku wasn't scrawling, but it doesn't match my young sister at all. What is she playing at? Are you really giving this to me? Well, duh, who else would I give it to? The cat? That's a stupid question, I guess. Why are you sitting there wiping? You'll let flies in? Oh, sorry, I just didn't expect this. A cutely packaged lunchbox is the very last thing I expect from Otakos to hand me, unless the contents are poisonous, of course. Youngest sister in TV shows are usually sweet and dotting. They worry about their older brothers and fuss over their health and make them delicious food, and then makes their bed and makes their chores and do their clothes and do everything, because that's what a woman's supposed to do. You sexist mother soup sucking person. How dare you? The role of a woman no longer is that. Good sir. Good sir. If anything, I will take off my imaginary fedora to you, sir, because you are not a man. You're not like a man like your father. The cute anime chick's giving you a lunchbox and you're trying to tell me what a woman has to do. Maybe you should change the way you think, you sexist pig. Huh? How about that, you? Huh? How about you take that? You should change. I expected more from my OCs. I mean, the OCs from my MCs. Shame. It is shame. My little sister is exact opposite of all that. That's why this situation is so surprisingly. By any chance, did you make this? No. Otako rolls her eyes. She totally did. Mom did, obviously. Oh, right. Of course. As if Otako would ever cook for me. I'm not sure if Otako can cook in the first place. I could change in 8 months, and even if she could, she wouldn't waste her culinary powers on me. She hates me. Oh my, you know what that means in anime terms. I love you. Watashi wa suki desu. Well, thank you for giving it to me. It's nothing. It's nothing. Mom told me to. If she hadn't asked, I wouldn't have bothered. I figured. Now take it. Hurry, hurry. She shoves the lunchbox in my scrolling. She uses so much force that I almost drop it. Now get going. I'm sick of looking at your idiotic face. Well, thanks, I guess. Whatever. I rattled the lunchbox seriously in one hand, and I don't know what's inside, but I can hear the sound of food slanting around, hidden from my praying eyes. What could Mom have made for my journey? Would it be rice? No doubt. That's a standard. Egg omelette too. Maybe small hamburger steaks or fried chicken. Don't shake the lunchbox like that. You'll ruin it. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, what are you waiting for? Run along. You'll miss your train if you don't, and then you'll really will be stuck with me. Would that be awful? I open my mouth ready to retort, but I don't know what I should retort with. I never seem to know when I'm with Otako. That doesn't really matter though, because she turns out to be on her heels and stalks off in much the same manner Tama did earlier. If Otako had a tail, I'm sure it would stick up in the air. I watch her from afar, sighing. Thank you, concern. Well, I'm always looking to the bright side. I doubt my relationship with my lovely sister can get any worse. If you're already at rock bottom, there's no place you can go further down, right? Except for maybe hell. But this is hell already. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Or ha ha ha? I guess. Ah, here we go again. Guys, kill me now. Light novel, let's go. My training journey is relatively unremarkable and would be perfectly silent if it were not for the rattling of the old train's wheels against the tracks. I'm the one of the only people sitting in this old juddering car. There's a woman with brown hair holding a bouquet of white lilies in her lap, and a man with a young boy, his son presumably, resting against her shoulder and a stuffed bear clutched in the chest, but that's all. Otherwise, the carriage is utterly deserted, just like that the flat, featureless countryside that sped past us. I stared aimlessly out in the windows, which are frosted over with powder snow icing. The rice fields and hedgerows are pure white, and all the trees have been stripped from their leaves. The cool wind runs through them, making them shiver. The unused headrests sway particularly above my head, precariously. Why are there headrests on an old train like this? Nobody needs to stand. There are always free seats available. Not enough people live around here. There aren't any houses, just fields. The headrest seems like a useless expense, rocking pointless to and fro with the motions of the train. It's cold inside the train compartment, and my every exhalation of air mists up in the window. The young boy cluttering the bear mumbles incoherently in his sleep, and stranded in the drool drips slowly from the corner of his mouth, and his father wipes it away with the crumpling tissue. This tender, gentle gesture makes me think of my mother and how she would baby me when I was that boy's age. Still does. She still babies. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She still babies me even now, though I'm almost 20. But it isn't really the same. I'm getting older, and nobody can stop the inevitable march of time. During the long journey, which lasts a good half hour longer than it was any right to eat my lunch, Mom did a wonderful job, just like usual. There's brown rice, as I expected. My mom's favors of brown rice over white rice. She says it's more flavor. Accompanied with a rolled egg omelets, cherry tomatoes, and crispy fried chicken, slices of apple. Mom used to make lunch like this for me back when I was in elementary school. If I ignored my reflection in the train's windows, I could almost fool myself into believing I'm a small child. I closed the lid in my empty lunchbox and sit into my lap, resting my fingers on the lunchbox. On the box, I turned my head and looked outside the window at a sugary snow clinging to each and every surface. I feel like I'm trapped inside a snow globe, the biggest snow globe ever that have been created. When the train finally pulls into the station with an unpleased screech and brakes and flurry of powdered snow, I almost feel remorseful. I was enjoying my journey. I wasn't the only one. The woman with the lilies jolts with her eyes. I think she was starting to nod off, clinging to her slightly crushed bouquet like some sort of talisman. The little boy with the stuffed bear jerks wide awake likewise. He glances about almost empty train compartment and the banded train station and blinks. His eyes filled with tears. Then he starts to cry. I don't really blame him. I used to feel like crying whenever my parents took me to this tiny village too. It's so unkempt. I run down. It only inspires vague, uneasy feeling of depression. The dilapidating old train station. The station might be a bit generous when there's only one platform. Tempers one expected from the village beyond its perfectly. Okay. It's dull and desolated and almost entirely removed from the real world. All the same, I think I've gained new fond appreciation for peace and quiet after living in Tokyo. It's relaxing. Even if the young boys' seers aren't. The boy's dad leads over and attempts to console him, but I pay them little heed. I get to my feet, pulling my luggage out from the rack above my head. It's time to get going. My grandmother just greets me cheerfully when I arrive at her house. Hey, it's not bad of a house. I was expecting like ancient medieval times, but you got a stereo right there. Good 80. Hey, her pictures aren't in black and white, so that's good. Oh, she got a little dolly right there. Aww. The TV could use an upgrade. Maybe give her a. Oh, she has a VHS to go watch Power Rangers. Nice. Up top. She rattles off all the usual pleasantries while I take off my shoes in the entrance hall. How much she missed me, how happy she is to see me, and how I'm welcome to stay with her for as long as she likes. Once my shoes, let's see the grandma then. Once my shoes are removed and lined up beside my grandmother's winter boots, she ushers me into the living room. It's not until we're both seated beneath the kotatsu, that the heater beneath warming our feet, that she says the fateful line all grandmothers say to their grandchildren when they haven't seen them in a few months. My, you really have grown. It's as predictable as clockwork. Wonder if there's some kind of script that grandparents operate from, or maybe an obscure law? As I pondered, I looked down at myself and frowned. Have I really grown taller? Oh yes, definitely. To be quite honest, I can't see any difference. Oh no, to be quite honest, I can't see any difference. I think my grandmother's being a bit too optimistic. Either that or she's shrunk during the last few months, which isn't beyond the realm of possibility, actually. Strange thing happens to our body when we get old. I think I look the same as always. Maybe to you, because you see yourself in the mirror every day. It's hard to notice change when it creeps up on you. I guess. It's different from me. I don't see you in 8 months and you shoot up like a bean sprout. I think Mom said something like that yesterday too. Hisako did? Yeah. Then I take her word for it. She has good eye, that woman. Dad didn't seem to notice though. Well, Kaname wouldn't. He can't see more than 5 feet past his own face. For all of Hisaku's smarts, I don't know if she made the right decision when she married my son. Though Kaname's mother, I'm glad she did. He needs a woman to help guide him in his absence. Reminds me of someone. Right. My voice trails off. I'm not sure what to add to that. My grandmother's a strange woman. She likes teasing people, particularly my dad. She jokes around so often it's hard to tell when, if ever, she's being serious. She reminds me a little of a fox, actually. She's easily as devious. I sometimes wonder how she managed to raise a straightforward man like my father. Anyway, you would like to see some green... would you like some green tea? I can always brew you a cup. Oh, you don't have to. I don't want to cause any trouble. Taking care of my beloved grandson is never any trouble. I might be old, but I'm not that old. She points. Grandma Umeke might be in her 80s, but she's as energetic as a woman half her age. Her spirit is very much alive. Her body betrays her age. Her fingers are long and skinny, and her face ingrained with the wrinkles and her eyes would be horribly unfocused without the aid of her glasses. Despite all this, however, my grandmother pulls herself to her feet with a smile and betraying no weakness. For such an old woman, her tenacity is quite impressive, but I'm worried all the same. You need to make the tea. You don't need to make the tea for me. I can always help you. I push palm against the surface of the old kotatsu, ready to get my feet, but now that will never do. Sit down, dear. You're the guest, and I see you rarely these days. I want to take care of you while I have the chance. I'll get the tea for you in a moment. Right. Well, thank you for your hospitality. You don't need to need to be so formal, dear. We're family. Familia, baby. Ah, yes. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize either. Sorry again. I catch myself before I can make the same mistake twice, and my grandmother smiles fondly. You really are, Hisako-san. Very polite to a model woman. In fact, I think you're more like her than my kananami. Is that a good thing? It is what it is, no matter who your parents are, you're still at the end of the day. Right. It's the tea. You do like green tea, don't you? You have to forgive my poor memory, but it's been such a long time, I've quite forgotten. Green is fine. Good. It's all I have at the moment anyway. Ikari always loved my tea, but oh well. In the past. Oh, is she talking about her husband? Oh, that's sad. Sadness. Now, would you look at the rabbiting on? I need to get... Oh, look at me rabbiting on. I need to... Or would you look at me rabbiting on? Okay, I need to get the kettle brewing. A work of a hostess is never done. My grandmother pads out the living room, her footsteps cushioned by her cream slippers. I begin to glance around in my grandmother's absence, letting the heart of Kotatsu soothe my weary feet and aching legs. My grandmother's home is... Sorry, I'm serious. My grandmother's home is quintessentially Japanese. The walls are supported with wood, and the floor is made with the tatami mats, and the doors are sliding screens. This kind of architecture feels almost rustic after my time spent in Tokyo. My apartment in Tokyo has a distinctly Western feeling. There are no tatami floors, and there are not that much wood either. There are a lot of smooth, shiny plastic surface, however, and I sleep in a bed instead of a futon. This old house is as far away from my apartment as it's possibly to get, and it looks the same as always. The same pictures hanging on the walls, and the same books lining the shelves, and the same wooden fruit bowl rests on top of the kotatsu. The only object in this room is to eschew Japanese sensibility. Is a French doll sitting on the small table by the bookcase. That doll's blonde hair tied back is neat ringlets, blue eyes frigid with long lashes and small pouty lips. She wears a dress made of silk, real silk, I think, with matching shoes and socks. I think her name is Lisette. My grandmother's brought Lisette when they went on holidays to Europe more than 50 years ago. She's been a permanent fixture of this house ever since, even if she is a tad out of place. When she was younger, Otoko used to examine Lisette, brushing out her hair and unbuttoning the and then rebuttoning her dinky little shoes. I played with Lisette too. Guess gotta play with dolls. I'm just kidding. But not quite as delicately as my sister. I used to tip the poor doll upside down and intrigued to see what sort of underwear. What kind of weirdo are you, weirdo? I'm surprised you didn't get your sister the bikini, you little butt. Wow, what kind of weirdo are you, dog? It wasn't a particularly exciting sight. Visiting my grandmother's was never exciting. This old house reminds me of my childhood. of long, seemingly endless summer's days where I would lounge about in the shade trying to keep both the heat and my own boredom at bay. It never worked. Sometimes my parents and grandparents and otaku would, well, why don't you just say family? You don't, would eat slices of watermelon sitting in the wooden veranda outside. The watermelon was grown locally, its firm green skin concealing the inviting pale pink interior studding with little black seeds. We used to sprinkle salt on our slice of watermelon to draw out the flavor. It's a trick Dad taught me. That was kind of fun, I guess. That was kind of fun, okay. They buzz, but the warm summer air throughout the intrusive insects. They buzzed a bit and sucked my blood, leaving me with little red wheals all over my arms and legs. Fortunately, it's too cold for insects right now. My grandmother's home isn't the same as it was during those long, lazy summer days, but now the windows are glazed with ice, and the kotatsu is the focal point of the living room. Kotatsu and the oranges, the pictures on the wall, set on her desk, and opposite of the boxy television set. A single syllable falls from my lips. I was wrong. There is something different about this room after all. A small shrine has been erected on a stand in the corner, a photograph of my grandfather in the center, a few candles around the edges. My grandfather died a little over a year ago before I went to the university. I haven't seen my grandmother since the funeral. I haven't been to her home. I've never seen this shrine. I swallowed. I never used to like visiting my grandparents. I knew they were nice people. They always gave me spending money on my birthday and New Year's, but I was too young to appreciate their company. Then my grandfather died. He died. And I wasn't that upset because I didn't really know him. But that upset me more than this passing did. I didn't know him. How was that possible? I had plenty of opportunities to talk to him during the childhood, but I never took advantage of them. Instead, I spent my time at my grandparents' house lounging around like a melancholy cat, content, reading and rereading volumes of boys' manga I'd bought with me to stave the inevitable boredom. Maybe that's the real reason why I decided to see my grandmother today. Otoko contributed to my decision, but this is something that's weighing on me for a while. Guilt. I don't want my grandmother to die like my grandfather as a mysterious, benevolent entity who exists as nothing more than a shadowy periphery of my life. I want to get to know her a little bit better, not as an estranged family member, but as a human being. She deserves it. She's always been so nice to me after all. Her and my grandfather. Sorry to keep you waiting, you. My grandfather enters the living room sporting a tray of her ropey hands. Here's your tea. Oh, thank you. Do you need any help with that? Don't fuss so much, dear. Like I said, you're my guest. It's my job to look after you. Now, sit back down. My grandmother slides a cup of tea in my tray and places it atop of kotatsu beside the bowl of oranges. Thank you. I bow my head. My voice hushed. I wait until my grandmother has placed her own cup of tea down and slip beneath the covers before I take my first sip. Is it good? I swish the tea with one side of my mouth to the other, savoring the taste. I never liked green tea when I was little, but now I've developed a tolerance for it. That's borders on fondness with the right criteria are met. Like, you don't have to give us an English lesson. My grandmother's tea fortunately meets all those criteria. The tea has a soft, slightly muted taste. The leaves have been steeped from just the right amount of time, allowing their ethery flavor to seep through the warm water. It's good. Thanks a lot. It's no worry, dear. Yukinari always loved my tea. He said brewing my tea was my one talent. Grandpa, huh? Though it might be insensitive, I can't help but to glance back in the shrine. My grandfather looks back at me from behind this smooth glass frame that entombs him and a smile on his face. I think it's a nice picture. It would be far too sad if his funeral photograph bore a frown. Though not. Now that I think about it, I can't remember ever seeing him frown. He was a very cheerful, good-natured person. He swore it was because of the air around him, or them, or it's the cleanest air in Japan. Was what he always told me. It's been a while since his funeral, huh? That's right. It's been more than a year already, though it feels like it's only yesterday. Do you I get gaze drop. I let my gaze drop to the table. Kotatsu wooden surface is a surface with age and ingrained with marks even deeper than the wrinkles in my grandmother's face. I wonder how old this kotatsu is. It looks like it's been through the wars, maybe literally. Do you miss him? Of course I miss him. He lived in a very quiet part of the world, but Yukinari had a knack of bringing things to life. My grandfather had a loud, booming voice, even when he was well into his 80s. I can still remember him calling out and sounding invading through a single nook and cranny of the small wooden house. The watermelon's ready! I wonder how long ago that was. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10. When I went to sleep, I could always hear him snoring. It drowned out everything. Now, however, my grandmother sighs. I can hear the cicadas in the summer and the wind in the winters more clearly than ever before. Didn't his snoring bother you? Oh, not really. I got used to it. People can get used to anything. You have gotten used to the wind? Not just yet. Maybe I should amend my previous statement. People can get used to anything when they're young. And when they get older, we grow into our habits and we fall into routines, and when things come along to disrupt that, it unsettles us. It takes longer to adjust. I'm sorry. My grandmother smiles gently. Why are you apologizing, dear? You didn't kill Yukinari. I know, but you have nothing to feel sorry about. Yukinari loved you a lot, you know. He did? Of course. Our precious grandchild. I'm sure he still loves you, wherever he may be, but he can't give you New Year's money anymore. And my grandmother laughs, shaking her head. I'm not sure whether I should laugh or not. It might seem insensitive, so I take another sip of my green tea instead. It's fine, I'm too old for New Year's money anyways. Yeah, over here, let's bring it over here. It's actually very touching. My grandma looks me over the head beneath her chin. I suppose you are, yes, getting up bigger and bigger by the second. Otako's snide comment about expanding the niggles at me. My cheeks turn pink and bow my head staring at my lap. What? And I bow my head staring at my lap. I'm not that big. Not big, then tall. Yukinari was tall. Or Kaname. You must take after them. I don't think I'm very tall. I've always been short for my age. Well, maybe I'm getting short. So how long are you planning to stay here, you? Maybe a day or two? It takes a while to get back, and the trains are all delayed on the way here. Oh, that's right. That's all the snow is in there. Has it been snowing a lot? Ever so much. The weather forecast said it's meant to snow tonight too. I wonder if the trains will ever be running tomorrow. Ugh. I've seen Christmas cakes on sale in the supermarket near my apartment in Tokyo, and this despite the idyllics in idyllic sense. A neat circle of fruitcake with white icing piped on top, stud from the littered gingerbread house, and small edible snowmen. Christmases in the countryside, however, are far away. That idle, as you can imagine. The snow here falls thick and fast between the months of December and March. It can even snow all the way into April if the weather is cold enough, and the weather seems to be getting colder and colder with every passing year. Some of the very old houses around these parts, the wooden walls and rafter worm-eaten and worn, actually collapsed beneath the weight of the snowfall a couple years ago. Their roofs simply caved in and unable to bear the heavy burden of all the pure white snow. It's a little wonder that the legend of the fearsome snow woman, who prowl the mountains at night looking for lost travels originated from this area. I've never find this snow woman. You'd never find. Snow woman! Please take me. Take me now. The snow woman out in Tokyo, in the city. The temptations that can lead young men astray are limited to pachinko parlors and smoky izakayas. I guess ghosts seem laughable when you're surrounded with so many modern high-rise buildings. It's much more isolated in the countryside, quieter, lonelier. If I strain my ears, I can hear the sounds of the wind whistling through the skinny, denuded trees outside. I shiver beneath the kotatsu. All of a sudden, I feel like a young kid. You can stay here as long as you want if the trains aren't running through, though I hope you don't get too bored. There isn't much to do out here, particularly when the snow starts falling. It's fine, I came here to spend the time with you anyways. Oh, how sweet. If only Otoko would do the same. She prefers to be called Otome now. Oh yes, I forgot when you get to be my age, you start forgetting things, just like Yukinari. He was always misplacing his glasses, even when they were on the bridge of his own nose. You seem pretty spry to me. In fact, I think you look even younger than before. Well, thank you. That's very kind. I'm lucky to have a caring grandchild like you. Oh no, it's nothing really. I mean it. I've had so many opportunities to reach out to my grandparents in the past, but I never bothered visiting them in my youth. It was a painful experience. Even worse than having teeth pulled in the dentist. And before I realized that my grandfather died and was dead. He was dead, and I'd never tried to get to know him, and I never tried to get home. That was the wake-up call I needed. My grandparents, though they were born in a different generation to mine, are still human beings. They must get lonely too. I got lonely in Tokyo my first few weeks of starting university, even though I was always surrounded with people. Maybe I was homesick. I can't imagine how lonely my grandmother must feel now that her husband of more than 50 years has passed. He's been with him for such a long time and devoted so much of her life to him, and now he's gone. Vanished into thin air. My grandmother's still smiling, but I do wonder. I glance at grandfather's shrine once more. His photograph looks back at me, his eyes unblinking. Unfortunately, a photograph can't bring back what has been lost. This is just a snapshot of a frozen time forcefully removed from all context, one day to be devoid of all meaning. What worth will photography like this have 50 years from now? 100? 500? Dude, this guy's talking philosophy over here. Who will remember my grandfather? when the rest of my family has gone. A knot twists in my stomach. Outside, the wind outside continues to howl. The weather forecast was right. Later that evening, this starts to snow. Snow spirals through the air in delicate, gustly flakes, like brilliant ballerins and tulle skirts. The snow falls is so soft, almost tender, as though anxious about whether it should land on the earth or not. But the flakes soon increase in size and volume. Now, at around 9 in the evening, the whole ground has been steeped in white. I watch the snow as it falls outside the window, and still sitting beneath the kotatsu, there's so much of it one could almost believe there's being dumped from the sky by a truck. Whew, this is a long one. It'll be cold tonight. I nod my head numbly. The television is on the background, but I'm not watching it. I haven't been watching it for the past half hour. I'm too busy staring at the snow. Each flake of snow that drifts past the window stirs new memories in my heart. It just doesn't snow like this in Tokyo. It doesn't get old enough. I never thought I'd miss the snow, but now I feel strangely nostalgic. And about... Oh, what happened? Surprise, surprise, supposed to keep the secret, you know, I didn't want... Okay. Oh, TV announcer, okay. Ha! Evasive as always, but that's why we love you, Aina. All women need to have one or two secrets, even those who spend their lives performing. The television buzzes dimly, images flicker on the screen, but they look hazy and distinct as though I'm living them through beneath a film of water. A man in gray suit sits on the couch, a group of girls clad... spoken with a wink that would make a man's heart flutter. If you've fallen for the charms of adorable Ainin and her group Palette Princesses, please consider supporting their newest release. And again, for any latecomers, what's your latest CD called? Dreaming in December. Do you know that group, you? I turned tearing my eyes away from, tearing. I look over the girls who are displaying on TV. The image on the screen is shaking uncomfortably like it's being broadcast live from a boat in the middle of a storm. It's making my head hurt. At least I can make the image out more or less. There are 5 girls wearing matching outfits in varying colors. Green, blue, yellow, pink, and purple. And together they are the Powerpuff Girls! No, I'm just kidding. I think the girl in the pink is sitting in the center is the leader. And Aina, was it? I think Otoko likes that group, but I'm not interested in idols. I don't listen to pop music either, but they look like nice girls. They're very smiley. They have to be smiley. That's how they sell the CDs. Not by the quality of music, by the smiles they got. Oh, is that what I said? Yeah, that's what I believe. How cynical. Is that what living in the city does to people? Living in the city. And the internet, maybe? Well, I wouldn't know much about that. I've never gotten along with the so-called World Wide Web. The grandmother makes a quotation marks with her fingers when she says it, as though the internet is some kind of strange voodoo magic from far beyond her understanding. Well, to people who aren't familiar with the internet, it might as well be voodoo magic. I don't entirely understand how it works myself. All I watch is my YouTubers. I watch Cosmic Mercenary on Cosmic Mercenary, twitch.tv/Cosmic Mercenary. So I know a little bit about the internet. So if you ever want to learn about the internet, just come on by and stop on by. It's a good thing I'm studying law, not computing. Kaname tried to set me up with one of his old monitors in Otoko. Okay. And sorry, Otome lent a hand, but Yukinari couldn't wrap his head around it. I couldn't either. Well, I guess you don't need to worry about it. Are you gonna say my son? Just, I tried not to, or your dad. Or your dad, or anything. Like, your dad tried to get me one, like, how hard is that? I tried not to. I know I'm just a relic of the past. Oh no, you're not relic, exactly. A fossil, then? Well, you don't need to worry about hurting my feelings, you. I know where I stand, and I'm nothing like those girls. What girls? The ones on the television. Those girls look so bright and cheerful that even though they're wearing such short skirts. Oh, short skirts! Oh, 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 oh. I never would have been allowed to dress like that when I was their age. My poor mother's heart would have stopped beating. I'm so changing. That's right. I'm beginning to notice it more and more. I just can't keep up with you and you young peoples. Half of what the taco says goes over my head, I'm afraid. All this talk about boy bands and fashions and TV shows and then video games and their Neo Kojimas and what you say. You shouldn't pay attention to Otoko. Her head's empty as a Halloween pumpkin. Oh, you're so cruel to your little sister, you. You always bullied her. Me? Bully her? I stared at my grandmother open mouthed at that utter fallacy. Has she not been paying attention to the way Otoko treats me, or has she simply forgotten? Maybe she doesn't know because we don't visit her enough, but I think I need to set the record straight. I think it's the other way around. Otoko never has a nice word to spare for me. Maybe she doesn't think you deserve nice words, dear. Why not? You did lock her in our futon closet when you were younger. Oh yeah. And then you did kill that other cat because he didn't like you. You did punt the cat. I paused, shamefaced, myself in indictment, anger spent. I guess my grandmother's right, I did do that. It happened so long ago, I'd totally forgotten. I think Otako was trapped in that cramped what? Yeah, I left her there for 3 days. I only gave her water and food and didn't tell anyone. She called out for help, but it was just one of those jigsaw traps. You say you're getting on yours, but you have a better memory than I do. How could I forget? You caused such a commotion. Well, I guess I used to be a brat when I was younger. Most children behave badly. It's nothing to be ashamed about, but I do not know if you ever apologized to her. My mother gives me a piercing look, like, yeah, did you apologize, you son of a gun? Huh? Did you apologize, you? No, but it was so long ago. It's not like it matters anymore. That's what you think, but these little things can't stay with people. Women are incredibly good at holding grudges. You got that right. You got that right, Grandma! Are you speaking from experience? I'm afraid it's a well-kept secret. My grandmother taps the side of her nose with one finger and suppresses the shudder. I hope no wayward woman tried to take my grandfather away from my grandmother when she was in her prime of her youth. She was anything like Otoko now, I'm sure her vengeance would have been swift and painful. Still, my grandmother frowns, her forehead creases the unbearable wrinkles. I know I'm past my prime now. Just like poor old Lisette. Dolls like her used to be exceedingly fashionable back in the day. A lot of my people's village had them. French dolls used to be the stature symbol of bored housewives, a little like sports cars, and infinitely more affordable. Okay. I'm like, oh, infidelity. I'm like, whoa there. But now time marches on, and it was really depressing. Lisette, her hair is starting to fall out, and Her clothes had been eaten by moths, and she never quite recovered from the nasty bump Kaname gave her when she was little. Right thumb's hanging on her with the power of hope and blue tech. She looks alright to me. From a distance, maybe. She's nothing like she was when her glory days, in her golden days. She really was a beautiful when she was first brought here. Believe it or not, I used to be beautiful too. Whoa, whoa there, Grandma. At least that's what your Canary has told me, but all good things come to an end. Sometimes they come to an end much too quickly. I can hear the snow falling in the background above the low, lazy buzz of the TV. The wind whistles about this old house and shaking it to its very foundation. Like Lisette, it's seen better days. I wonder whether my grandmother's house will one day collapse beneath its own old age and all the snow. Oh, it will last longer, my grandmother or the horror home. I don't know much about my grandmother's past, but perhaps because there's so little to know. She was born and raised in a tiny village. She never left, save for the odd trip or two to Tokyo and her honeymoon in France. She never had any reasons to leave either, because life was comfortable here in all its simplicity, and she had no desire to move on. Life was simpler back then. Maybe that's because the internet had to be yet to be invented. It's hard for me to believe, but my grandmother grew up in an area without the World Wide Web, as she calls it. When people wanted to unearth new information, they went to the library or asked around the neighborhood. Progress really is amazing, but people always get left behind. In my grandparents' case, it happened quite literally as more and more residents of the village began to move outward in search of new jobs. All the young people left while their aged parents stayed on. No new blood came in, and so the village stagnated. In a few years, all of these people will be no more, and this place will be completely empty. A ghost village filled with car cases and these ancient, uninhabitable houses, just like the discarded shell of cicadas. The population of the city will continue to swell, while quietly countryside villages such as this will fade away. This village is already unmistakably beginning to die. You can see it with how dirty and dilapidated the train station is, how empty the streets, how ramshackle all the old wooden homes. There are hardly anyone here anymore. Just the wind, the snow, and the stars. We're not done yet! Omeko, I still remember when I first met Yukinari. My grandmother's voice is soft, her eyelashes downturned. I was only 16. I went to the local shrine on New Year's Eve with my grandmother, meaning that to ring the bell and offer my prayers to the gods. I was wearing a new kimono and a soft gauzy shawl that was brand new. I thought I looked very fine. I wouldn't stop preening. My mother told me I'd be struck with misfortune if I continued being so vain. And she was right. My mother always had tremendous foresight. But she didn't know that this would also be the luckiest day of my life. My shawl got caught in the sudden breeze and drifted away from me. I tried to get it back, but I wasn't fast enough and I couldn't reach in time. I was sure my lovely new shawl was gone forever until he caught it for me. You mean grandfather? My grandmother nods her head and smiles on her face. That's right. That sounds very romantic. It was quite taken with him. My grandmother smiles fondly, her fingertips tracing the rim of her teacup. I wish I could go back to Jinguji's shrine. Yakunari might be gone now, but I feel closer to him there than anywhere else. I can still remember how my heart fluttered when he handed me the shawl, and our fingers brushed for the very first time. It was so long ago, but it feels as though it were only yesterday. Then why don't you go back there? It'll be New Year's in a few days. You can relieve your old memories. Oh no, I'm too old and it's cold and there are too many stairs. I couldn't go there now. I could help you. You can lean my shoulder and I'll escort you up those stairs. I don't mind. That's a sweet offer, dear bud. In this weather, I think not. We'd both slip and break our necks. Well, maybe you have a point. Snow continues to fall outside the window. I think it's falling even faster and thicker now, if such a thing is possible. I hope nobody wandering the mountains that's surrounding this village lost and alone. It seems like the ideal weather for a frostbitten, revenge-driven snow lady to search for new victims. And now, if I would want to visit, you cannot like this anyway. What do you mean? My grandmother looks at herself with her BG sweater, demure skirt, and her weathered old hands lying up on her lap. Signs. I am not the bright-eyed, eager girl I used to be. I've gotten older, and the strength has gotten older too. It's fallen to despair, just like me. I don't think I could stand to go back and see it crumbling, all overrun with weeds. I think I would prefer to keep my memories inside here. My grandmother holds one hand against her chest. Weirdo. Memories aren't like flowers. It's easier to nurture them in the dark. Or if I don't expect too much, I can't be disappointed. But that sounds so sad. Getting old is sad, dear, but it's something I've made peace with. It happens to the best of us, and the worst, and everybody in between. TV announcer. Oh, sorry. My sister. And that concludes our interview with lovely Palette Princess. We hope to enjoy yourselves, but don't switch over yet. We have another treat in store, that's right. It's the brand new up-and-coming idol group formed by Sanix. Whoa there. Yeah, but I never got to discover what Sanix the idol group is called, because at that moment the TV shorts out. Screen flickers and turns into a series of particular colors that cycles through the strawberry, lemon, blue Hawaii before it cuts out entirely, eaten up by a full screen of squirmish maggots like statics. There's snow inside the TV screen. Oh dear. My grandmother tuts and shakes her head. All the snow must have knocked down the television aerial. It happened last year too. How long does it take to fix it? As long as it takes for the repairman to come out here. Last time it happened, it was two weeks. Weeks? And that was after Yukinari phoned them a dozen times. He could be quite insistent when he wanted to. I can imagine. I can still remember my grandfather's loud, booming voice as he called up to me in the kitchen to fetch the freshly cut slices of watermelon. If it took a man like grandfather a week to get results, I can't imagine my grandmother will be more successful. Oh well, I don't watch TV much anyway. And how do you fill the time? I can't imagine there's much to do around here now that Grandpa's gone. Gone. He's gone. Do you want to continue breaking our hearts? Oh, I find ways. I like cooking and there's always housework to be done, but my back has quite been up to lately, I admit. And when the losses, and when that loses its appeal, I can always read. Do you read a lot? Yeah, I've always loved reading. There are so many books I wanted to get through when I was younger, but I never had time. My grandmother smiled wistfully. Now I have all the time in the world, but my eyesight's so bad I can't focus for more than 10 minutes at a time. It's always one thing or another. I echo one of my dad's commonly used phrases, and grandmother laughs. One thing or another, ha ha ha. That's what Yukinari always said. That says it too. Well, it's true. It's always one thing or another. It's just how to take the good with the bad, and I've had a lot to be thankful for in my life. Like meeting Grandpa? Yes. That's another one of my favorite pastimes, reliving our first encounter. At the shrine? With the shawl when he caught it, my heart skipped a beat. I would have been taken by Yukinari in any case because he was so tall and distinguished. But when he caught that shawl, it seemed like destiny somehow. It was though the gods at the shrine had taken charge of the wind to ensure that we would meet that night. Oh my. My grandmother smiled sheepishly. It sounds so sentimental when they recount it like that. I think it sounds nice. Like something from a movie. Or a video game. I've always thought of that too. It could be a scenario from an Ozu film. I bet Otoko would lap it up. It does sound like the kind of thing she'd be interested, doesn't she? Sadly, I don't think I can retell it in a way that she would find compelling. Why not? There wouldn't be any flashy special effects, and it wouldn't star Takesawa Hidaki. Who's that? An actor. Otoko loves him. She used to keep a photo of him inside her purse. Well, girls will be girls, won't they? I used to be quite smitten with Ikebi Ryo when I was a young girl myself. My grandmother starts laughing, her face dressing up with the mirror, and I can't help but join her. I can't remember the last time I bonded with my grandmother like this. I don't think I ever bonded with my grandmother like this. The smell of green tea drifts through the room, and it seems to permeate the wooden rafts and mats, emboinging everything with the warm, homey aroma. How many cups of green tea have my grandparents drunk sitting together in this small, cozy living room? That's how movies always are, I suppose. They like reinventing things, making them beautiful. They cast the most handsome actors available and wearing every last drop of drama out of events that they're nigh unbelievable. But that's what people want. Sometimes fantasies can be more comforting than reality. Is that really what you want? If there exists a fantasy where I could be a young girl again, I'll dump on it an instant. If I could be a girl for one more day. My grandmother shakes her head, perhaps chiding herself for the foolishness, but then she pauses. She sits up a little straight and points at the window, almost knocking her cup of green tea in the process. Oh, look, you. What? Out the window. I turn my head obediently. The snow is still falling, thick and fast, obscure much of inky night sky, but between the pure white flakes I could just about see it. The moon hanging majestically above our heads, and there, leaving a trail like a jet plane as it streaks across the night, is a star. A shooting star. I haven't seen any shooting star in Tokyo. I hardly see any stars in Tokyo. Full stop. Full stop, okay. The buildings are so tall it almost scare the stairs away, shooting them even higher up into the stratosphere. The sky is murky and more mysterious than when you live in a big city constantly bed-decked with blinking lights. Out here in the middle of nowhere, my view in the night sky is unimpeded by any outside distraction. Not even the snow can mask it. Quickly, you should make a wish. I wish? That's right, I'll make a wish too. My grandmother closed her eyes, her eyelashes met together. Like her gray, wispy hair, my grandmother's eyelashes have also started to thin. They look nothing like the plump, voluptuous, don't call it voluptuous, man, eyelashes that framed the eyes of pallid princess girls. But thinking about it, those girls' eyelashes can't be natural. Natural. They're fakes. Phony balonies. Otako uses them too. I guess most guys wouldn't care about that. They might not even realize it, but when you have a fashionable little sister like Otoko, you learn about the tricks women use to amplify their beauty whether you wanted to or not. And I hate women. You hate women. Girl. Speaking of Otoko, maybe I should wish for that. Yeah, I can't think of anything else I'd rather ask for. If there are gods out there, mischievous beings light as air, who conspired to bring my grandparents together all those decades ago, then I hope they can hear my humble wish. I only have one. I hope Otoko and I can get along better. Okay, that's a very interesting wish. I spent the night laying in the futon my grandmother prepared for me in the guest room. Well, I call it the guest room, but it's more like the storage room, really, cluttered with various bits and pieces of my grandparents have bought over the course of long lives. There's a bookcase pushed on the side of the room filled with paperbacks. I wonder if this is where my grandmother stores all her books that she can't keep in her bedroom in the living room. When my grandmother says she was a voracious reader, she wasn't lying. The whole house is crammed with books and ranging from classic students suffer through this high school. I'm looking at you, Sosuke Natsume. A modern tale spanned the bestsellers Misato Kanai, Nanome Asa, Higashino Keigo, and many more I've never even heard of. Some of the books are dog-eared and look well-worn and well-beloved, but most of them are brand new. They're pretty persistent, like the freshly fallen snow outside. Their pages are immaculate. The covers devoid from any wear and tear. Aside of these books, you'll see why we read the books. Because it's it's basically a book inside a video game is what I'm doing. Inside my breast. Oh, whoa there, buddy. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Sympathy? There are so many books my grandmother wants to read. So many books she'll never get to the time to read now. Near constant snowfall drums instantly in the window pane. There you go. Icy wind sharp as razors slides through the gas walls and dance about the room unseen and invisible, but undeniably there. The howling of the wind makes me think of ghosts or spirits. The snow women that roam the mountains, their face white as milk, their eyelashes decorated with fallen snowflakes like shining gemstones. I wonder, what mysterious force of nature was it that parted my grandmother from her Shao all those years ago and sent her running into the arms of grandfather? Was it just a sudden gust of wind, or was there something more to it? I'm not a superstitious person. Unlike some of the fellow university students, I don't spend hours at night trolling the internet, searching for urban legends and conspiracy theories to get riled up about. I prefer to believe that things simply happen and there's not always a reason for it, and that's just how life is. It's my typical sentence of the issue, but when I am this old house imbued with the scenes of green teas served to hundreds, no thousands of ghostly impressions of my grandparents' past, when I'm surrounded by old books that have been well loved and new books that may never have been a chance to be loved, and the snow is falling softly from beyond the darkened window, I can almost bring myself to believe maybe it really was a spirit after all. It's easier to believe in magic and spirits and destiny when you're isolated in the countryside, miles and miles away from the noise and traffic from the high-rise buildings of Tokyo. I'm not sure why. Perhaps being alone beneath the starry night naturally fuels our imagination. It's hard to imagine when you're surrounded by too many people. Life swallows you up like a tidal wave, allowing no time for idle thoughts like this. I turn over in my futon, restlessly rocking up the thin covers. There are only one pillow to rest my head, and it's sad and threadbare thing that smells faintly of mildew and old age. I can't help but imagine as I try and fail to get comfortable that the spirits are giggling at my misfortunes. The snow outside really is relentless. The wind continues to moan. Tatami mats creaks, and all while as I slowly fall into a land of dreams, I swear I can hear the faint sound of a muffled laughter. And it's December 30th, guys. We made it. Ooh, that was a little bit longer than last time, but hey, we got to meet our grandma. It was actually some emotional stuff right there. Man, that was actually very emotional. But that was basically it. That was part 2 of A Winter's Daydream. Again, I got this game on sale. It was basically $2, and I decided to play it. And if you guys want to continue watching the series, there will be a part 3 coming out soon. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video if you like this video. Also, don't forget to go and look and follow me on Twitch. I play Super Smash Bros. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and some other streams from there, but for sure, Super Smash Bros. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching. Stay vigilant, and see you guys next time.